This is the Griffin Realty Group Ask-A-Griffin podcast, episode number 57. We continue our agent plan with a question. How do you decide where your target market is? Are you a home seller or a home buyer who has questions about selling or buying residential property, or maybe an agent who needs direction, but you can't find an easy way to get your answers? Well, then, hey, you are definitely in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the Griffin Realty Group and the host of the Ask-A-Griffin podcast. And to help you take immediate action to get started in the right direction, if you need to sell or buy property right now or in the near future, or maybe you want to become an agent, you can take advantage of our free step-by-step guides that are waiting for you at griffincourses.com. That's GRIFFIN courses.com. All right, let's get started. How do you decide where your target market is if you are an agent and you're trying to build a marketing plan as we continue on our subject about marketing? Well, the first point here is that you need to approach marketing your business strategically, not tactically. What does that mean? Well, I've done a lot of research over the years about marketing and marketing plans and how marketing really works, because it's a term that gets thrown around and then you hear it in conjunction with sales, and they're two different departments, and sometimes they blend, and it's also confusing. But really, simply put, marketing is, to me, letting the world know that you're out there, you offer a service, and that hopefully you can begin to determine what makes you unique in that service. Because, of course, to a certain extent, the world is going to see really any service person. Let's take all real estate agents, all mortgage brokers, all insurance salespeople. They're going to lump us all together, and they're going to see us as one big lump. So the idea is, as you begin to market your business, think strategically. And that's really about them, not you. Who's them? Them would be the people that you want to do business with, the ones that you want to serve, the ones that you want to offer your services to. That's what marketing is about. It's sort of, imagine it as the horn that blasts the message about you. It's the noisemaker to let people know that you're out there. And by the way, don't be a shrinking violet. People need to know that you're out there. Marketing is necessary. I heard a guru once tell me, and others, everybody's in the marketing business. Everybody. You need to let the world know that you're out there. So the idea to be strategic, what does that mean? Well, in doing all this research, I found this triangle where in the book it had said market, message, media. And I'll go through that in several episodes here. But today, the first piece of that triangle, so if you think about that triangle, nice sturdy geometric figure, gives you an idea for a strong, simple strategy. A strong, simple strategy. You don't need complex marketing books. You just need simple. So market is where, within which area, geography, do you want to do business? Tactically would be to run out and say, well, I just bought all these leads and I just bought this website that gets me these leads. Believe me, I coach top producers across the country and Canada and have done it for quite some time. That's their mistake. They can't wait to go buy the next tactical thing to see if that works. It's the shiny object syndrome. And they bounce around with their marketing ADD from idea to idea and never take the time to slow down and start strategically, because then you can make those tactical decisions that support the strategy. Let me explain. Okay. The first point here about how to do that would be, where does your ideal client, and I'm going to put in parentheses in my notes here, seller, live? Where does your ideal seller live? Because that's where you'll focus your marketing efforts. Let that sink in. Simple concept. And yes, I am the person that made the biggest mistake geographically that you could make when I first started the business. That's what I did, because I said, well, look, I have two little kids at home. I'm just getting into this business. And my business plan back then, as I joke in this podcast on the regular, is give me 2,000 business cards, a desk, a lamp, and I'll bring the Army helmet and the work ethic. And that's what I did. And I was running around with these business cards anywhere I could. If you sneeze the words real estate together, boom, I was on you. Well, that's not strategic. That's hand-to-hand combat tactical. I mean, that's face to face. I knew that all this other stuff was nonsense. I needed to get face to face, and I did. And there was some success in that, certainly. You know, that hustle. You hear it all the time now, hustle. But hustle without strategy can really be dissipated energy, and it can be a lot of wasted time. And a lot of top producers never end up building a business at all because they're not scaling it up. They're just doing it. Like Michael Gerber says in his book, The E-Myth, The Entrepreneurial Myth, great read, right? So when you think about that, you say, all right, well, how do I figure out that area? Well, be greedy is what I tell people. Be greedy. Drive around. I mean, come on. You got into the business or you're getting into the business, dream. We all go online and we look at luxury real estate and we figure out where it is. And we say, whoa, I wonder who lists those homes. Why not you? Why not you? Why don't you just start with being greedy and being a dreamer and saying, I'm going to become an agent who does nicer listings, who lists these properties. And I know you're going to say to me, well, that's already taken by people and all this nonsense that you say. It's all nonsense. And I'm going to prove to you with a very important point what to do as the first part of your strategic work. Okay. You're going to decide on an area. You pick a zip code, you pick a neighborhood or several neighborhoods, you pick a town, whatever it is you're going to pick. And then you go do the multiple listing service research. The multiple listing service research. That's what you bought as a realtor. When you joined an MLS, you joined so that you could get access to all of the statistical information about the geography within which you'd like to market your services. Simple concept. And mind-blowing to me that real estate agencies don't train that from day one. When we hire people at the Griffin, we tell them right away, when you get your MLS ID, we need you to go do your own research and fill out your own marketing plan so that you, from the very first start, are very focused on where, okay? So you're going into the multiple listing service, you're researching to ensure that the geography you're interested in provides enough market activity. Because that's the question I know you probably have when you listen to this. And a lot of agents will ask me this. We'll say, well, how do you know it's enough? So what I tell them is, look, let me go back to my mistake, okay? When I first got into this business, and I still live here most of the year, I'm in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Well, Cape Cod is not a town. It's not a county. It's a cute little name that we call this big, long place that's on the tip of Massachusetts. Go look at a map, right? It's a man-made island. Back in the early 1900s, they dug a man-made canal so that, the boats could get through there easier. But it was just really this long tail of Massachusetts. Well, if you were to go all the way from one end, deep down, look at Martha's Vineyard, and look down at Woods Hole, Falmouth, and then go all the way out to Provincetown, my goodness, is that a long ride. And here I was saying, Cape Cod. I do Cape Cod. I sell Cape Cod. It was so naive, so tactically driven, and so non-strategic that when I began my marketing, a lot of it was dissipated. I'll give you specific examples. I went to the newspaper, which was the Cape Cod Times, which covered not only Cape Cod, it even went off Cape. Then I went to the radio, which had these massive areas. So I was choosing tactical media, which I'll get into in another podcast, that was taking me all over the place. And then back about 9-10 years ago, I took a breath and went back to fundamentals of strategic planning and simple. And I said, why don't I just look at the town within which I live? And as I did that, I did simple homework. How many people actually live here year round? I looked it up. I didn't guess. How many transactions took place consecutively over the last 3 years? I saw real numbers, including during the recession. That's when I really started to do this, was during the Great Recession. I felt like, aren't there better properties selling than all these distress sales that I'd been sucked into, thinking that was where the volume was? Big mistake. So you see, as I went into the town, I found out that there was about 800 plus or minus transactions in this one town. 46,000 year-round people, 60 square miles. See how quickly I can rattle it off now? 7 villages, right? I knew it. And then I went even further. I'm like, but I don't really want to do these villages anymore because it's all the lower end property. And it's just those people don't appreciate my plan. It's not my ideal avatar. So I'm going to be greedy, quote unquote. And I'm going to start to look at these better villages and I'm going to do more marketing in there, just like that. And then I broke down the sales for that town and those villages. And I could see, my gosh, that in spite of the recession, there had been tremendous amounts of value that had transacted. Tremendous amounts. So instead of falling prey to all this tactical chasing around, chasing to the bottom with the marketplace, right? Oh, there must be distress sales and all these investors. And if that's your avatar, wonderful. Be careful, though. You'll need a lot of volume. For me, I decided, well, why not just start to focus by marketing at sellers who live in these villages and own a median and above priced house. Let me start there. So it really starts to focus all your money, time, energy, and effort in a much smaller spot. And of course, if you're able to secure those sellers, there are many, many other marketing opportunities to then accelerate your brand. So let me go back and summarize this because it's a really simple but important point here that we make when we question, how do you decide where, that's the big word today, where your target market is or will be? Well, number one, you start off by recognizing that you should do that because if you approach marketing strategically, not tactically, you'll be in a much better place. You'll know where these people live. Then you can decide what media you'll end up using and tactics. Secondly, where does your ideal client live? Because that's where you'll focus it. So it's not just that you want to approach it strategically. You want to know really where. We'll get into avatar or ideal client in the next episode, but we really want to talk about where, because that's where the physical product lives. And that's how this business exists. Without listings, there is no real estate business. You understand that, right? And those listings are owned by sellers. Where do they live? How much are those properties? What do they look like? You can even go microeconomically into all the details by just going into MLS and looking at individual properties, not just the total volume. And lastly, that's the point. Do the multiple listing system research. Fall in love with the data that's in the multiple listing service inside your target market. Fall in love with it. Become an expert on that. Boy, will you sound just so much more intelligent when somebody asks you how the market is and you know the trends firsthand because you're there. But more importantly, for marketing, it will keep you focused. Folks, it doesn't mean that you can't spread out into other geographies if it doesn't seem to be providing enough, but you're looking for somewhere around 800 to 1,000 sales, 2 times that for transactions. It's 1,600 sides, a buy side and a sell side to one transaction, okay? So keep that in mind. Let me summarize it this way. When considering how to market their businesses, many real estate agents make the dreaded mistake of saying, I'll go anywhere. I did it. The best strategy is to start off with a strategic approach that begins with researching the multiple listing service to ensure that the preferred geography offers enough transactions without being too broad and, of course, too narrow. All right, remember, you can take immediate action to get started in the right direction if you need to sell or buy property right now or in the near future, or if you're thinking about becoming an agent or you want to sharpen up your strategies if you're an existing agent by getting our free step-by-step guides that are waiting for you at griffincourses.com. That's GRIFFIN courses.com. Also, don't forget, you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen. We're pretty much in most of the main spots. Or you can find us on our social media channels. So go looking for Griffin Realty Group and you can find the podcast replay there. Also, we'd appreciate it, of course, if you'd comment, ask us questions of your own. I mean, we're going to go through our plans and pull out the questions that should be being asked. But of course, if you have them and you want to post them on any of those media, we'll keep our eye open and we'll try to answer them. Remember, I sign off the same way every time I do a podcast. Nobody's coming for you. Nobody. So go get to work on your own plan for buying, selling residential real estate, or becoming an agent. Go get to work on your own plan. And of course, we will be here in the next episode to provoke you and help you do just that. Thanks again.